Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Dark Lord of Memes podcast. I'm your host, Dark Lord Ainz, and I'm sorry, I'm a little sick. And I'm here with my co-host, like every week, Albedo. Albedo, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
She's doing pretty good again. Alrighty, so for this week's episode, I think we have some fire topics to discuss. Going to be mixing in some more personal stories, personal anecdotes this episode, as well as kind of doing things that we've already done in like past episodes, like we always will have our weekly anime discussion because we're weebs. And speaking of being a weeb, what are we wearing right now? What did you get us for Valentine's Day, Albedo? Do you want to tell the kind listeners at home what romantic gift you got for the both of us for Valentine's? So I got her. I'll just like compare. So like this is what I got.
Oh no, because I'm gonna sound like such a crappy person.
No, because like honestly, like when it comes to like Valentine's Day gifts, and we are recording this a few days after 2 days after Valentine's Day, and so like I don't really normally like the normal, lovey-dovey stuff. Like I'd rather have something that's like cool and like I'll love and like will continuously use and stuff. And so I think she did a really great job. But I did want to like just point out what I did end up getting her for Valentine's Day. So for Valentine's Day, I did get her a gold dipped rose. It's like they basically take a rose and they dip it in like liquid gold, and then they kind of decorate it. It's really pretty, and I got her one last year, so I got her a different color one this year, and it's going to grow into like a beautiful collection of just all these beautiful gold tip because I think they look pretty beautiful.
Yeah, they're definitely like one of the prettiest things I've seen.
Yeah, and I really like to do I try to like, I know like roses is like kind of like the generic thing to get, but I kind of like putting my own spin on like what I get because no one kind of likes the generic roses and chocolate. Yeah, I mean it's still like a good go-to. Like everyone loves everyone would love getting roses and chocolate, Yeah. But it was just like my little take on it, and I always leave like a little note,
like every gift.
Yeah, it's just like my little trademark, I guess you could say. But yeah, that's what I got her, and I'm glad that she loves it. And but back to the topic of being weeby, what did you get us for Valentine's Day, Albedo?
I got both of us the Anti-Leaf Village headbands.
So these headbands have been on my my headband's been on my forehead for probably the past 20 out of the past 24 hours, probably the past 20 out of 24 hours. Well, no, because I slept with it all. Yeah, I did take it off to sleep. So I literally did wear it like the majority of the day. I freaking love this thing. It's the iconic Sasuke headband when he is fighting Naruto and he leaves the Leaf Village, and it has the slash across the Leaf Village symbol. They're really dope, and it's like very high quality. Like it's not like one of those toy headbands you'd probably find in
it's actually
Walmart it's like it's legit. Like the headband's legit, the metal's legit.
The ones the things holding the plate to the headband, like it even has like a guard on the inside so it doesn't run your
I was just gonna point that out. It has like that it's like a padding and like for the forehead, and it like kind of protects your forehead, and it's really nice. But I love it. We're rocking these right now. We're twinning pretty hardcore. We have the dual headbands, and we have our matching Trippie Redd Love Me More Tour, t-shirts.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be a perfect segue into the first segment. So our first segment this week, we are going to be talking about the Trippie Redd concert that we went to this week. and just the entire experience, like what we liked, what we didn't like, and just like our experience. So I guess I'll start, or did you want to? Is there anything you wanted to add before we get into our Trippie Redd story?
No, but I do want to add, I do want to start off by saying I love how as soon as we went through and you're like, oh, there's merchandise and no one's there, let's go grab something. And then when we come back towards, the end of the concert after already getting our shirts, there's nothing over there. And I'm like, dude, I'm so glad that we got these before the concert started. Mm-hmm. And that girl next to me, she's like, you guys are lucky.
Yeah, I know, because, that was the... I know, I was like... Because literally, I was like, I'm so glad we got our merch when we did. And she, looked back at us and gave us, a freaking stink eye. I was like... She just, scoffed. I was like, she just scoffed at us. Leave us alone.
It's not our fault we were smarter than you, or you, rather. Because I just wanted to, get in there and, hope I didn't miss Trippie. Because we did get there pretty late. Yeah,
so, back to, the story. So... I'll kind of try to give you as good as a timeline as I can remember. So essentially, right after work, I'm sorry, if I sound congested this week, it's because my nose is stuffed up and the weather's been terrible here where we live, and I'm just kind of just
trying to steal as much warmth as possible.
Yeah. Just try. Yeah, I'm trying to stay warm, but. I'm a little stuffed up and congested, so I apologize if I sound just terrible. I feel like I am this week, but hopefully you guys don't hold it against me, because I can't help it. But back to the story. So, yeah, literally after work, I, drove home. We ate a little bit, got changed, and mind you, the day of the concert, the weather was fine the day of the concert. Everything was good. Everything was, cozy. There was no snow. It was it was still cold, but the sun was out. It looked like it was going to be a decent day. But bruh, around 4 o'clock, it just freaking turned into a legit snowstorm. Legit snowstorm, blizzard. You could not, if you looked out the window, you could not see. It was just the snow was just pouring down. And so I'm like, man, this is going to be rough. Dude, because I have to drive home in this blizzard, which is a 45-minute commute with no traffic. And then I got to drive back to the concert, then drive home from the concert.
And you're late getting back home because there were crashes and stuff already.
Yeah.
On your way back home to come, get dressed and get me.
Yeah. And it slowed up my commute because, the police officers and stuff were out there, trying to move the wreckage and stuff. And I'm like, oh, bro, that's why I like highway travel, but there's also a lot of crashes and stuff and a lot of delays, and it's kind of unfortunate. But, so I finally get home, at this point there's definitely a large amount of snow covering the ground. It's cold, but for the love of Trippie Redd, man, I was I gotta brave through this. I did not hype myself up for this concert for nothing. We're gonna go. And then once we hit the road, I started contemplating if this was a good decision or not, because the conditions were ridiculously horrible. Yes, they were trash. Imagine driving into head-on snow, okay, in the dark. It's dark. All I have are my brights, all right? There's snow on the ground. It's slick. There's slush
semis everywhere.
Yes, there's so much slush. There's the semis, and the semis splashing us with slush.
Yeah, and the semis having the flurries go underneath them and get carried underneath them straight into our car and stuff.
It was,
and your brakes were getting messed up because we kept getting sloshed by so many of them.
Yeah, and it was literally making my brakes so wet. It was just covered in water at this point. Super squeaky. And I'm like, oh my god, like this is like I like literally at points during the commute there, I'm like, babe, like this is Sketchville right now. Like I'm scared. Like I'm kind of scared driving right now. I was like locked in. Like we had like did we have music playing the way we had music playing there, right?
Yeah, we had music playing there, and then I had to stop singing along because you're like, babe, I'm just trying to concentrate.
Yeah, like I had to use like all my brain power. I was like, man, I do not want to slip and slide off the road.
And then the car started sliding a little bit to the right, and it kept sliding over to the right. And then I started texting my best friend. I was like, girl, I love you. Like, if anything happens, just know I love you. I'm terrified right now. And then when that semi kicked all that shit into our windshield and everything, and it, like, we couldn't see whatsoever, I was like, bro, I was having a panic attack. I was like hyperventilating and shit. I'm like, I'm dying today.
Yeah, because the windshield was literally like at one point the entire windshield was covered in snow and slush. Like I couldn't see. Like
and
it was just caked.
Your wipers are also like.
And I also have to get my wiper fixed. So like that did not help.
It took a while to even clear it up, and you're just like, you're like stiff arm straight.
Yeah.
And you're like.
Dude, I had to be laser focused. I had to be.
You're literally the best driver I've ever met. Like, I've never met a better driver than you. And, like, everyone in my family are obsessed with, like, racing and stuff, and I've never met, like...
Really? Oh yeah, your Nana's really, like, into street racing, right?
My Nana, my papa, my brothers, and my papa with my Nana.
I really don't know how I managed that. I really don't know how I... Like, there had to be some sort of divine intervention, like, guiding me there, because there's just no way I should have been able to make that.
Mashiach wishing you fair travels.
We want Mashiach. No. I should... Oh, my God. But, anyways, so we finally get there, right? Thank whatever out there, like thank the universe, thank God, I don't even know what helped me get there, but something did. So we get there and I park the car, park it in the parking garage, and then we get out to walk, and there's like still like slush everywhere, like there's huge puddles. And
now at this point it's raining.
Yeah, it is raining. Like it turned from complete snowstorm
to just rain.
Torrential downpour. That's exactly what it was.
And then we had to cross the street and everything. Our shoes were getting soaked. We were stepping in mud, sleet, like anything and everything.
Yeah.
And trying to run across the street. I lost on our way out and everything, I lost my brand new lipstick.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
I literally just got that lipstick.
Yeah, it was a crazy day. It was
that morning, actually, because I ordered it offline. And
really?
I was like, I'm doing my makeup with, like, the new makeup that I just bought because I was really excited for it. And I lost it.
At a Trippie concert. Sounds appropriate. But, man, speaking of, like, the actual concert, though, so, like, obviously we got there a little late. The show started at 7, and I think we ended up getting there around 8:30.
Yeah, it was like 8:15.
Yeah, probably 8:15 exactly. It's probably when we, like, walked in and made it through security. Then we bought our merch, bought the shirts, and then we went up to the second level, and we just sat in the bleachers because they had like a bleacher section. And we had a really good view from where we were, though. I would say, like, once we stood up on the bleacher, I had a pretty good view. I don't know about you, but I had a pretty decent vision on the bleachers. But then there was like that like cringy couple that was in front of us.
There was two cringy couples. One of them like was making out with each other every 2 seconds. They looked like they were from Alabama. They looked like cousins.
And then was the other one like the yellow shirt guy?
Yeah, the yellow shirt dude. Like, if I could knock you off there, I would. And then the girls next to me that were jumping and almost knocking me down every 2 seconds. Like, I accidentally stabbed one of them with my nails.
Really?
My fake nails. I was going like this.
Yeah.
And, like, I straight up jabbed her on accident, and I felt so bad. But then when they left and they went to the bathroom, I kind of held their spot for them, and I, like, had my leg out. And
nice.
The person next to me kind of got the hint and, like...
Didn't go there.
and like put their leg out too.
Mm-hmm.
So like the spot was there for when the girls came back, and then I was like, I shouldn't have done that, because like so many people were walking by and were looking and saw us like holding there.
Yeah.
So then when the girls came back and everything, they started jumping all over the place, almost dragging me down. I was like, I shouldn't have done that. Like, fuck you guys.
Well, now you know. So Luna just literally just jumped up into my lap. Cat break. So yeah. So we're in the bleacher section, and I think at that point, we were there for like a few minutes, and then is that his name? Block Boy JB? I think that's his rapper name. He like came out and did some stuff, and I mean, it was like alright. And then like the DJ played like some pretty, decent tunes, I would say.
Yeah, pretty cliche safe ones to play at a concert like
yeah,
that.
like you kind of hear the same. We were talking about this. Like you kind of hear the same playlist at all these kind of rap concerts.
Look at Me, The Box,
and it was the Ransom remix
with Juice WRLD,
yeah.
and some Juice WRLD songs. Like I think every other song or every 3 songs was a Juice song.
Yeah, and and then he played 1400 999 Freestyle, which is one of my favorite songs like ever. I love that song.
Yeah.
But yeah, Block Boy JB came on, and I was like, okay. But they said that Cody Shane was supposed to be there, and I don't think we saw her perform, so I think she might have went on when we were like
on our way there.
Maybe, I'm thinking. Which I kind of did want to see her, because she does have a really good song with Trippie, and I'd like to see them perform that together, but it's alright. But yeah, Block Boy came out, and then Trippie came out finally, and
yes.
Man, I was just so freaking happy. Like I'm a big Trippie Redd fan. If you know me, you know. And when he came out, it was the first time I've ever seen him live. Like I've been a fan for years now, and he's from Ohio, and it's weird that like this was like the first time I finally got to see him. After like so long, but finally got to see him. He came back home, put on a great show, I thought. Was singing his little heart out, man. And I have like tons of videos, obviously, like recorded like all my favorite songs. And I just love the experience. Like, I mean, honestly, like getting there was very scary, I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad we, got there safely. With our lives still intact.
Yeah, and your car.
Yeah, and my car still intact. But the drive home was much better.
Oh yeah, it was a lot easier.
Yeah, it definitely got better. But the show was just tremendous. He played like all the hits. I mean, there's so many Trippie Redd hits. It would take me forever to like just list them all. But he played all the bangers. I had a great time. And then like there was like some point like randomly talking about like that cringy couple that was like in front of us. There was like a random point where like the guy in the yellow shirt, I don't know if he was like high or just, I don't know why, but he started like just smiling at me and pointing at me. I was like, yeah, like I was like, I don't know you, but
that was so weird.
Because I'm super antisocial. Like I'm not really. Like, I get on here and I talk, like, a lot because, like, it's a familiar setting and I'm with you and I have Luna in my lap and, like, I like my environment.
But being put on the
spot? Being put on the spot in, like, a public setting, and the guy, I mean, he had a cool shirt on. Like, I liked his shirt, and I was like, oh, he's a Juice WRLD fan. But then, like, I saw him and I was just like, I mean, I don't know how to interact. Like, I'm not good at, like, social interactions. Like, I'm not good at just, like, making conversation with like random people. It's just like a skill I'm not really comfortable doing or like good at even. So I don't do it. Like I'm good at having conversation with people I'm familiar and close with, I guess. And if it's about topics I'm interested in. But I mean, if it's just me at like a random social gathering, I'm probably literally just gonna sit in the corner and
play with what animal.
Yeah, and play with like the cat or be on my phone, and then like wait, and then like people will come over and talk to me, and I'll talk to them, but then like
Dude, I want to know what your internal monologue is. Like, I wish I could read your mind.
My mind?
Yeah.
You don't want to know. The internal monologue is...
You're probably like, why am I with this girl? She's so annoying.
No! Oh my god!
Because I never shut up. Like, I'm always talking. Even if it's a show that I'm, like, so excited to see, I'm just, like, always, every 2 seconds, hey, babe.
And then she'll just like... Yeah, you do, like... And that's crazy, though, because, like... I mean, I guess it does, in a way. It makes me feel... It kind of does make me happy, because it makes me feel like you're comfortable with me, because I know, like, out, like, in public and with other people, like, you're not as apt as to talk as much. And same as me, but, like, the fact that, like, when it's just me and you're, like, you're just firing stuff off, like, I think that kind of makes me feel good, like, how comfortable you are just, like, talking with me, which is good, you know? But, like, when it's, like, you know, random people I understand, and, like, I think there's people out there that experience the same thing I do. It's just, like, I'm not good at that stuff. It takes me a while to, like, open up and be more talkative with people. And so, but I do want to do it, and that's why I started the podcast, to, like,
get your voice across.
Yeah, to get my voice out there and, you know, have my conversation outlet that I do crave. I just don't like doing it with, you know, random people. I don't know. But then again, I'm doing this, like, for the internet, so...
But you don't have to directly, like...
Yeah, like, face-to-face, you know, interactions, yeah.
So I do feel like the internet really does help when it comes to stuff like that.
It does, yeah.
It's scary meeting new people.
It is so scary. It's so scary meeting new people. And, like... But, yeah, meeting new people can be very scary. And I just always overthink every interaction. And I don't know why. Overthinking is, like, one of my, like, I guess, worst flaws, I think you could say. It's just, like, I hate how much I overthink every little thing. But it's just how I am. I can't really...
But the internet really does end up, like, making that a little bit better. Talking to people through, like, a screen or through audio is always pretty good. Just like our next topic.
Exactly. So...
Segues.
Good segue. So, should we... Oh, wait, so what topic were you talking about? Like, anime or...
Oh, shoot, we have to do the anime recommendation.
Yeah, then that, yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's fine. So, yeah, let's do our... So, yeah, let's go back to Trippie real quick. Let's close that up. So, I would rate the Trippie Redd Concert... Like, the total... Like... If I'm counting the driving, like the driving to and from the show and the actual event, probably like a 6. Yeah, probably like a 6. But if we're talking about just the show, like, it was a solid 9.5. Pretty great. No real complaints.
The show itself was great. The crowd was a lot better than, like, any concert I've ever been to. Because they weren't so, like, obnoxious and loud and drunk and
yeah,
on substances.
And I also think that if we had gotten there earlier, we'd probably would have been down in the pit, and those people would have been worse than where we were.
Yeah, and plus, like, that entire pit was full of, like, Tyler's, Dylan's, Chad's not knowing how to open up a freaking mosh pit.
Yeah.
How do you not know how to open up a mosh pit?
I'm always surprised at the demographics of these, like, shows I go to.
I haven't seen so many people with the personality of a saltine cracker say the N-word before. Like, so many white people just, like, said the N-word and shouted it, and they were like, yes, this is okay.
Yeah, I mean, and I was also surprised at how many children, like, I'm talking school age kids, like, they've got school in the morning. Why are they at this? You know what I mean? And that their parents were willing to, like, take them. I found that actually pretty interesting as well. But I love the overall experience. I mean, the drive was what it was, but oh, are you dying? Yeah, take some water. Don't die. So yeah, what would you rate the concert itself?
Maybe like an 8.
Yeah, like including like the opening acts and stuff, or just the Trippie show.
Just a Trippie show, to be honest.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. So now we will move on to anime recommendations, like we do every week. So what anime do you recommend?
Tokyo Ghoul. I mean, just not the last season.
So you have to put like an asterisk on it. So it's Tokyo Ghoul, but not the last season.
Yeah, like
Okay.
it has an amazing opening song.
It does.
Like the opening of it's so beautiful. The development of the characters throughout the show is great until you get to that last season. But
Yeah.
you know, Kaneki is under a new name and he works. Well, I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah, but
they fucked up my boy Kaneki.
Kim Kaneki.
They ruined him.
So you would but you still would recommend it as like a, solid show.
Ignoring that last season, like I literally would give that show a 9.
Yeah, I also hear like a lot of people in like the internet space and anime space, they also like kind of neglect the final season, I think, too. So it makes sense. Like everything up until that point was like it was fire.
Like you messed up your own show when people are literally like, yeah, the whole thing's good except the last season. Like we don't talk about that season.
Yeah.
Don't mention that season.
It didn't exist. Like, yeah, it sucks because like they had such
So
good
much
momentum.
promise.
Yeah, it had so much like promise and like momentum built up, and then they got to like the final season and it was just like it just all came kind of
Crashing down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I still enjoyed it too. I would also recommend it too. What would you rate it out of 10?
Like all together, like as the show.
I mean, so give a rating minus the final season and then with
9.
the final.
So
a 9 without the final season?
I would consider it a 9 without the final season, but including the final season, probably like a 6.
Dang, a 6?
Yeah.
It does that much damage, do you think?
Yeah. Like you
It
saw the last season. Like, come on.
Yeah. But, yeah, so essentially, if you want to I mean, I guess do you have to watch, would you recommend watching all the seasons then?
I still would because of the fact that like the final season picks up and you know what happens.
Yeah, so I would still recommend watching the entire thing, but just know once you hit that last one, it's kind of like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And yeah, but that's a good recommendation. So this week I'm going to be recommending an anime that you actually showed me, I believe, Albedo. And it was an anime that I always like wanted to get around to. I just never got around to it, but I'm glad I finally finished it. And that was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is a tremendous anime. Not recommending the original, like Full Metal Alchemist. No, you have to watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. There's a huge distinction between the two. Basically, what I can decipher was that essentially Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is like the story of Full Metal Alchemist, like how it was originally intended, and then the original one is different because am I getting this correct? Like I think the manga like delayed the process of like the actual show, so they put in like a bunch of fillers and stuff or something like that, and so like it like took like weird turns. Like it's not the true original story is basically what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And it had like a lot of kind of spin-offs for the manga to like catch up, I guess. But yeah, I'm recommending Brotherhood. So like, just like a little kind of synopsis of what Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood kind of is about, and some of the highlights for me. So essentially, it follows the two brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric, in their search for the Philosopher's Stone, in hopes to restore their own bodies. Now, when we talk about like restoring their bodies, so they basically lost their. Well, Ed lost his arm, right? And Alphonse actually lost his entire body.
No, he lost his arm and his leg.
Yeah, his arm and his leg. You're right. He lost his arm and a leg, and Alphonse lost his entire body, and his soul was like trapped in a suit of armor. Now, what strong alchemy, caused them to lose their lives, you might ask? Well, essentially, they're trying to bring back their mother, right?
Yes.
Who passed away. And so they try to do this alchemy ritual at the cost of, an arm and a leg and an entire body. So it's really good. Some of the highlights in the show for me, I really loved Ed facing Father. That fight scene at the end is like... Dude, like, when I watched it, it was, like, literally getting me so hyped, like, and emotional. It's a really good scene, really well thought out and put together, and the animation as well is just very well done. So I would definitely recommend it. Some of my favorite characters, Roy Mustang is awesome. Obviously, Ed and Alphonse are awesome. And then there's also the... can't think of her name, the girl who Mustang ends up killing in the show, but I can't think of her name. But maybe I shouldn't remember because that was kind of like a spoiler. But yeah, go and watch Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Out of 10, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 10. It's tremendous, and it's not too long, not too short. I think it's a good length to get the story across, but not be convoluted as well. So definitely go check out Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. But now it's no. I guess we'll do the
legend.
I feel like we keep teasing them because we're saying, oh, we're gonna bring up this mystery person, like we did it before, but now we're gonna have to delay it one more time because there's one more topic I just want to get in front of it because I want it to be like the final thing we talk about because it's like the main event. So we're gonna talk about my Parasite movie review, and you can also give your take on it as well if you so choose because you did see the film. So the movie Parasite. Now, if you have not seen this movie, I want you to just like stop listening to the podcast right now, go watch it, and then come back because I truly think it is the greatest movie I've personally ever seen. Super great story. The characters are all really well fleshed out. You get a sense of who each person in the movie is. And I think a very interesting part of the movie that I thought was intriguing is that I think at every point, or at some point in the movie, every character plays a villain. And that's what I thought was very unique. Because you usually don't get something like that where everyone in the movie is a villain at one point or another in the actual movie, but you feel like you still side with some people during the film, like even though they're doing something that's could be seen as malicious or underhanded in a way or not being like honest, I guess. You still like are rooting for them, or at least I found myself still rooting for them. So let me just get into like the story of what I mean, kind of like a summary or a little bit of backstory. So the Parasite follows this, I believe, a South Korean family. I'm not sure they're definitely Korean. I'm not sure if it's North or South. But it basically follows this family, and they are just not in the best quality of life situations. I would say, they're living in what's called, I didn't even know these existed. Like, I guess I've seen them, but I guess I didn't know the word for it. They called them semi basements, which is like essentially like your house is like halfway underground, and then the other half is above ground. And if you did you notice that like throughout the movie, like they're like looking up at like the street. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And I think that was done like symbolically, like, their class status was like very low, and so they have the family kind of looking up towards the street and always looking up because like they're that's where they're trying to eventually get, but they're still stuck underground. But like the movie opens up with like a great scene, I thought, with like him trying to like access like the free Wi-Fi in the place that they're living in, and like he finds out like the neighbor put a password on it, and so they're trying to find like new internet for their phones. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it was funny. It set like it was a nice opening tone. But yeah, I'm not gonna remember the names of the characters, to be honest with you. But the main character, essentially, his college friend, visits their house, visits the family home, and presents them with this giant rock called, I think, a scholar stone is what they called it. And it's supposed to bring material fortune to the family who owns it. So obviously, this family being in like a crappy, situation, they're like, "Oh my God, thank you for this gift!" Like they like cherished it. They were really excited. And this is where the movie starts to take a turn a bit, because once this rock is introduced, things start to change for the family like pretty quickly. So it basically starts off with the friend coming to the main character. I cannot remember their names. But the main character's friend. So there's a son, a daughter, a father, and a mother. That's the family structure. So the son, his college friend, basically tells him, "Yo, I need you to be the English tutor for this girl's that I was working for, like her rich family, and I need you to be her English tutor while I go study abroad." And he's like, "Oh, well, okay, like." I guess I can do that, but I'm not like a college student or whatever. But he's like, you can just fake it, whatever. Like, I'm recommending you, it'll be fine. So basically, he, accepts the offer because it's for a rich family, and being a tutor for a rich family is always good. But the one thing I did find kind of weird throughout the movie, and I think you found this awkward and kind of weird and as well, is that he was basically he was wanting his friend to kind of look after the girl, because she was only a high school sophomore in the movie. That her character was a high school sophomore, and the college guy, it's not exactly clear as to how old he is. Definitely college age, wouldn't you say? Like, he's definitely,
Yeah.
I would say probably like 20, 21-ish maybe, and this girl's 16. Which yeah, that's what high school sophomore, 16, right?
15 or 16.
15 or 16, yeah, usually. So like, and then he basically says like, yeah, I want you to like look after her because like, she's cute and like I like her, and when she enters the university, I plan on officially asking her out. And I just thought that was kind of weird, like how that was kind of like a theme throughout the movie. It was like weird underage love. I mean,
Yeah.
it bothered me the first time I watched it, because I had watched it the night before, like alone, and then we watched it together. And I know you thought that was weird too, right?
Yeah, that was definitely creepy. Like, that one guy was basically grooming her, and then the main character, like, fucking underhands him, and, like, gets the girl anyway, and he just basically, like, starts flirting around with her. They start making out, and they start just going, like, it's gross. And then even towards, like, at the end of the movie that I can't spoil, but, like, she's the one that finds him.
And yeah, so that's basically how the movie kind of starts off, and then basically one by one, and this is like no, I mean, this is like a movie review, so there is going to be spoilers. So, like, hopefully people have seen it, so we can kind of spoil if we want to. There is spoilers. Everything that I've said about the movie is a spoiler. But it did come out last year, so that's why I said in the beginning of this, I want you to watch it before you listen to this. Like, pause the podcast, come back after you watched it, because it's definitely worth the watch. I would say movie of the year for me, like, absolutely must see. But back to the movie. Essentially, the family one by one begins to parasite and grow a link to this rich family that starts off with just the son, starting off as the tutor, and then we find out that the son is super hyper and he like is having hard, being able to focus and things like that. And so, like, the son suggests, oh, I have a recommendation. Like, this girl, does art therapy, because the kid was an artist. So, he does art therapy. And then, like, his sister comes in. And then, oh, well, we need a new driver, because, like, they, basically the family, like, gets the family's driver fired. And then the dad becomes the driver for the family, and then the mom becomes the new housekeeper, which I want to say my favorite part of the movie is when they oust the housekeeper. That is just some of the best cinematic genius I think I've ever seen in my entire life. That scene... And I know I'm, like, sounding like I'm hyping this movie up, guys. I'm telling you, there's a reason... At this won Best Picture at the Oscars. This is, without a doubt, I think, movie of the year for me. Probably one of the best movies I think I've seen just in general. Parasite is... but it is all subtitles, which you have to get used to, because it's directed by, Korean director. It's a Korean film. So you do have to... It's all subtitles, but, like, I swear it's worth it. It is so worth it. But that scene where they finally oust out the housekeeper and, like...
trying to say that she had tuberculosis and that she was allergic to peaches.
So they, like... The family just, like, how they ousted her, like, was so well... Like, it was such a great plan. Like, they executed it flawlessly. And so... Sorry, I'm going to drink some water here. I've been talking for a minute. That's good. So basically, the family, becomes the parasite on the rich family, and then the movie takes a turn for the worst, and it just like you think the movie's heading one way, and then it completely does a 180, and you're like, wait, what? But it's very like I said, I won't spoil too much more. I just want to say I really recommend this movie. 10 out of 10. I think it's, like I said, I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I just really think that it does a really good job of making you bond with each character. And I thought it was, like I said earlier, I think it's very interesting that, like, I think at every point in the movie, a character is a villain. I think everyone does kind of something bad in a sense, and I just thought that was very intriguing. But Albedo, I did, recommend that you watch it, and then you were hesitant, you were like not wanting to initially, but just like, what do you think of the movie now after you've seen it? Like, what takeaways? How much did you enjoy it? Or not enjoy?
So when I first heard about the movie, I thought it was gonna be like one of those movies that are like, obviously from the title being called Parasite, it's kind of like you automatically assume bugs or whatever. So I just thought it was like one of those horror movies that like have parasites kill everybody. And
you were in a whole different like mind space.
Yeah.
Going, okay.
So then when I first started, so whenever I heard you like laughing while you're watching the movie and I was trying to fall asleep, like I was like, why is he laughing at that? Like, it's so funny. Like,
because it's like all subtitles, you know, so you have to like actually, you know, read.
No, because I thought it was a movie.
Or yeah, true that and that too, but also the subtitle thing.
So I was like, why
why
is he laughing about this? Like, what's so funny?
Exactly, and and that was I think you had the same mindset too, and I didn't get to finish. I do want to finish Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I haven't finished it yet. I like fell asleep during the middle because I was just like I was like tired last night, as you know. But I do want to finish that. But you also thought that was like a part like from like the TV show Once Upon a Time, didn't you? So,
yeah.
Yeah. So like I was like so here's how I'm like very adamant and like really about this movie and how I'm really highly recommending that if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. Like that's basically this whole portion of the podcast is just me promoting this movie because I think you will not be disappointed. And so I'm like really like I'm reading all the reviews and like summaries and stuff like ahead of time. I'm like, babe, like you need to watch this, and she's like, Parasite, nah, like you were not like trying to watch it at all.
And you're like, babe, you have to watch it. Like, please, like, do this for me. Like please.
Right. I was like, for me. I pulled, like, that card.
Yeah, that's not a good card to pull.
Please, for me. Do it for me.
You love me, don't you?
I thought you loved me. I guess this was all a lie.
But no, I'm really glad that I watched that movie.
Yeah, it is so good. So yeah, I'm done. I'm done about my spiel. I just wanted to like iterate that it is film of the year for me, and you need to go watch it. But now, the piece de la resistance. So this is the main event of the podcast, and like you listened, if you listened to episode 2, this is going to make a lot more sense if you've already listened to that episode. If you have not, then you'll probably have to do a little more research. But we're going to be talking about incels once again, and I wanted to bring up probably the most famous case of incel I think is out there. He/she, yeah, is not an incel anymore. I just want to throw that out there. They're no longer an incel, but they were for many, many years. And if you are not familiar with this internet legend, I highly recommend that after listening to this podcast, you just do a Google search, you go on YouTube, and you type in Chris Chan. And I just want you to marvel at what you stumble across. I want you to bask in the glory, all right? If you have it on Google right now, I hope you have Google Images up right now. And I just want you to bask in the glory that is Chris Chan. I want you to bow down and pray to your Lord and Savior, Incel Jesus Chris Chan, because this man is an internet legend. He will forever be an internet legend, and there will never be another internet legend in the same vein as the one, the only, Christopher Weston Chandler. Oh, I missed a name. Christopher Christine Weston Chandler. Whoa, so there's a lot to unpack there. There's a lot to unpack. So the reason I'm recommending this is because when I was introduced to Chris Chan for the first time, my life changed. I was introduced to Chris Chan, and I just fell down the rabbit hole so quick, so fast, so hard, because the story of Chris Chan is just one of such intrigue, such mystery. It's just the most fascinating story on the internet that I think I've ever come across. Definitely in my top 5. And to just to know and realize that everything in this woman's story, I think she's Christine now, so I should call her Christine. Everything, but I'm familiar with Chris Chan, but she goes by Christine now. But Christine Weston Chandler changed my life because everything in this person's story is absolutely 100% real. You'll read into this person, you'll do your research. At least I hope you'll do your research and just watch a few YouTube videos. If you're into PewDiePie did a quick 10-12 minute video on the legend of Chris Chan. It doesn't get into as in depth as his whole story. Her whole story. I don't know what I should be. I keep messing up. I'm sorry. It doesn't get into her story. In 100% in depth, but it does do a nice job of just giving kind of the highlights and just a brief summary of Kristen Weston Chandler. So Kristen Weston Chandler is such a huge figure in the internet community that he bodes his own Wikipedia page. And you can find it if you go to sonichu.com. SONICHU.com. And Sonichu, you'll find out, is a part of the is a very important part of Kristen Weston Chandler's story. Sonichu is very iconic, very symbolic. I myself hope to have some Sonichu merchandise in the future, whether it be a Sonichu medallion or a Sonichu t-shirt. I've reached out to him before. He never got back to me, but I did want a Sonichu medallion made, and I would have paid a solid price for it because it's just a piece of history. So I'm just going to read you the opening excerpt on Christian Weston Chandler's Wikipedia page. So get this. Christine Weston Chandler, born February 24th, 1982, also known as Chris Chan, is a 37-year-old autistic, mentally stunted, lesbian trans woman, former virgin with rage, and creator of the infamous Sonichu. In late 2007, he became internet famous when he caught the attention of 4chan and Encyclopedia Dramatica. Initial fascination was spurred on by his signature homemade Sonichu medallion, his childlike artwork featuring his unoriginal Sonic recolor, and his history of loitering in public places while literally holding up a sign asking women to talk to him. His reaction to the ensuing mockery led to a spiral of ever greater scrutiny of his life, revealing more disturbing facts about him. So that's just the opening 2 paragraphs of Chris Chan. Albedo. I showed you Chris Chan, and I exposed you to this part of the internet.
You didn't. Ronnie did.
Well, Ronnie did, but I was there. And what do you think about Chris Chan? What do you think about his story? Him as a person, or her as a person?
I am at a loss for words when it comes to this person. I literally thought it was a joke when you both first showed me. And then you were telling me all these facts about him and everything. And I was overwhelmed. I was is this an actual person?
Oh my goodness.
And his parents are 80.
Yeah, they're pretty. Yeah, they're pretty old. They're up there. I don't know if they're. I think the mother might still be living. I think his father passed away.
Aww.
His father, as well as his pet dog. They're both passed away, but I think the mom's still around. I'm not too sure.
That's still sad.
Yeah, it is very sad. But let me just give you a little more background into like Chris Chan's childhood, because I'm trying to like understand what made him go down the road he chose to go down, and like I'm just very fascinated with him. There's not enough information out. I mean, there's a lot of information on him out there, but I just need more. I need to know Chris Chan as much as possible. But I just want to bring up a little bit about his childhood and adolescence. So, Chris Chan was born on February 24th, 1982, and he was born to Robert and Barbara Chandler. He was born in the United States, specifically in the state of Virginia, and of course is a citizen of the United States. Not much was known about Chris in his toddler years, but the signs of autism didn't creep up until he was older. At the time, he was pretty much a normal kid. Chris claims his first word, monkey, was spoken at 6 weeks old, and he remains proud of this feat into his 30s, regardless of how obviously unlikely and physically impossible it is to be true. The language centers in the human brain literally cannot grasp English at 6 weeks, disregarding infantile vocal cords. Now, here's where it gets a little sad, because there's a great documentary series on him on YouTube where they kind of track the timeline and the life and times of Chris Chan. But early on, I found this like very sad, and I think this is what I think. If this is true, I think this is what set him on the path of just
completely going down.
Yeah, complete and utter chaos. And it's not. And once you read about it, it's really sad. So check this out. An abusive babysitter who was alone with Christopher every day for years allegedly locked him in a room at an early age. Chris apparently misses the irony in the fact that he now locks himself in a room. He once identified this confinement as the source of his autism. Between the ages of 1 and 7, Chris did not speak at all. I just pause because I really want that to sink in. Between the ages of 1 and 7, Chris did not speak at all, and had to visit James Madison University for speech therapy. He was diagnosed as being autistic, with the doctor projecting, at least according to Chris, that he would never make it to high school, much less be able to write his own name. Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, essentially he was abused by his babysitter at a very early age, and did not speak from between the ages of 1 and 7 years old. Like, I think we gotta ask what kind of psychological damage that probably did to him. Am I right? Like, not talking for the first 7 years of life is... I mean, that sounds just so sad. My brain can't really comprehend it very well. So that's kind of traumatizing. But yeah, I mean, so that's just I just wanted to give a little bit of background, just kind of like opening the door to who Chris Chan is and maybe why he is who he is. And it's really sad, and I know, we talk about incels, and we talk about, why it is the way they are, or, like, what are the reasons that led up to them being, like, who they are, and, sometimes it's just, like, genetics, like we discussed earlier, like, sometimes your infamous line, sometimes you're just born with the wrong genetics, and like, whatever you believe in just gave you some crappy genetics, and you gotta deal with it. And you just gotta take what you got, and then, but sometimes it could be like even more It could be like genetics mixed with like trauma. Because, I mean, to be psychologically tortured like that at such a young age from like a babysitter, to the point where he didn't want to talk for 7 years is just very, I don't know, it's just, we gotta ask what that probably did to him. And maybe, I'm not saying like it's an excuse for the way he is, but you gotta look at probably as a contributing factor, if that makes sense. So, basically on Chris Chan, I just wanted to get the point across that I think if you haven't heard of this person, this phenom, take time out of your day and just look into him a little bit. And I recommend doing it on YouTube. I think the videos are do a really good job. But yeah, just watch a couple of videos and just enjoy, just enjoy. But like also, I think you also got to look at it, and the framework is like, you know, he was bullied very heavily, and it might be to the point like there's some very uncomfortable parts where like, I don't recommend this for everybody. I will say that right now, disclaimer. If you are looking into Chris Chan, you should probably, you know, it's probably rated, what would you rate the content? Probably like TVMA or like, I don't know. There's like some crazy stuff he's done. Should we get into like the crazy stuff a little bit? Do you want me to like talk about that? Or should we just like let them be surprised? I'll point out like some of the highlights for me, and then just based off of the highlights throughout his life, you can decide whether you want to. Wait, do you mean Julie?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Julie.
No. Okay, so God dang, that's a highlight. Okay, so I think this is what I'll do. I'm not going to get into the complete Chris Chan timeline in this episode, because literally it would take me forever to, like, this would be like a 5-hour podcast. And ain't nobody got time for that. So here's what I'm going to do instead. And Albedo, if there's like any moments that I miss that like you remember, feel free to like bring them up.
Julie.
So I think you want to start off with Julie. So
do you want me to tell it?
Go ahead. So this is Albedo's first Chris Chan timeline event that she recommends.
It was the first one that I was shown by Ronnie. But basically he was talking to a girl named Julie online. Mm-hmm. We all know Julie. Who's really Julie. And
not giving it away. Spoiler.
Chris did something wrong, and Julie said as an apology he had to do this thing. And he did the thing, and the entire time he did the thing, he was yelling, Julie!
So, I think you did.
I can't say the rest of the phrase.
Yeah, I was yeah, so I think you did a very good job of just like giving like a teaser of like what it is. So essentially the Julie saga of Chris Chan's timeline. Basically there was a point in Chris Chan's life where that's not a word. He met a woman on the internet by the name of Julie. And they hit it off, and Julie was a fan, I believe, of Sonichu, which is if Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu had sex and they had a baby, it would be Sonichu. That's basically the premise of what Sonichu is. It's Sonic the Hedgehog and Pikachu getting it on and having a baby, or fusing together, whatever you want to call it. So he's with Julie, and there becomes a point in the relationship, which if you watch the videos on YouTube, it's very well documented through audio clips and chat logs. Because I think at the time they were chatting on AOL. I think AOL was like the messenger thing of the time. So a lot of AOL chats back and forth. It starts getting hot and heavy. They're expressing their wants and their needs with it. Oh my lord, are you going to get those for us?
No, it shows up on my ads.
Oh, they heard us talking about it. That's gonna be another topic, dude. Freaking, like, what is that called? Like when your phones hear like what you're saying and then it pops up, ads pop up for it. That stuff's crazy. That's weird.
I'm gonna go jump out the window.
That's so weird.
Toodles.
Yeah, we're definitely gonna talk about that. But yeah, back to the Julie saga. So Chris and Julie, they're together. It's hot and heavy. They're expressing their wants and needs for physical contact and sexual relations, to the point where Julie suggests to Chris, like, "Oh, if you really love me, Chris, then well, you would make this video for me doing this, and this." Now, what he ends up doing in the video, and you can find it. It's out there on the internet. It's public domain. It's like, you can definitely find it. I think it's even a link to the video is on his actual Sonichu.com page, like his wiki page. And if you just type in Julie Saga on there, it'll pop up. But the video, I'm just gonna throw it out there right now. It is on Pornhub. So it's pretty graphic, as you could tell. And essentially the video is, well, an adult Chris Chan making love to a sex doll.
A Kimmy doll.
And yelling Julie while recording himself with his own video camera. He was this is a video specifically for Julie, which, you know, obviously didn't stay with just Julie and has been viewed several times on the internet. So what did you think when you saw the Julie video? What went through your mind? Like, I'm just curious what you saw for the first time.
As soon as I heard the snap of that Kimmy doll when she broke, I knew my humanity was gone. I knew all my pureness and innocence was gone.
So the video took away the last shred of innocence that you had. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Wow. So yeah, the Julie saga is great. And then there's also other sagas where, you know, he's the subject of a lot of internet bullying, and, you know, it's a fascinating story. It's an intriguing story that's captured the imagination of millions online. What I would like to see happen is it turned into like a full-length film. I don't know if that's possible, but like I would love to see like a big time studio pick up the story of Chris Chan and turn it into a movie. I think it would be obviously a lot of it would probably have to be like edited and like changed around. But just like in the vein of Chris Chan, I think that would be an awesome movie. But yeah, I just would like to recommend him to you, the viewing public. And I just want to close this podcast because we're done with the Chris Chan talk. I just do want to clarify, I think you should look into that and Parasite. And as I'm recording this episode, our Facebook page is really close to 1,000 likes. I just want to say thank you guys so much for the support over on the Facebook page. We're like a handful of maybe like 5 or 6 likes away from 1,000. So if you're a new listener, and you haven't liked my Facebook page already, Definitely go over to facebook.com/Dark Lord Ainz. That's AINZ. And or you could just type in the search bar Dark Lord of Memes, and my page will pop up. And definitely go throw us a like. And check out the memeage over on the page. Albedo, is there any last words you would like to say to our listeners?
Please, please do not look up the Julie saga.
No, you must look it up. If you're serious about this, you must do it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening, and that's going to do it for this week. That is a wrap.